Oh my god, Mel disappeared.
Oh my god!
It's so weird and
She got
bizarre.
eaten by a unicorn.
That would be ironic. No, it's not ironic. Would it be ironic if someone in a unicorn onesie got eaten by a unicorn? Quick, Matt, tell me words.
Silence E. Silence
I don't know if
man.
it's ironic.
It's not ironic.
It's more kind of unfortunate.
Alanis Morissette would say it's ironic, but people
She would. She'd add it to that song, and people would go, "It's still not ironic. You still don't know the meaning of the word irony."
It's not ironic.
Yeah, it's
Isn't
kind of
that
like for it to be ironic, the someone has to not know something that they should know. Usually, like for dramatic irony, it's the audience knows something that the character doesn't know.
If Mel wore the unicorn onesie in an attempt to blend in with unicorns, not realizing unicorns were cannibals and they ate her,
Possibly, yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. So that's what happened, and that's why Mel isn't here.
sure.
She tried to blend in with unicorns.
Hopefully Mel will be here next time. But we are the Deleted Scene Podcast, and this is our little animated show. This is our sister show to the Deleted Scene Podcast that comes out on Wednesdays
Yes.
on YouTube channel, so please do check out the podcast. But here, we're going to talk about just a random thing. We're just here to make a little short to promote ourselves and just chat, a little bit of extra chat about a topic. And this week in the lead up to Avengers Endgame coming out, we've kind of been discussing the superhero genre and various things about it, and it kind of came across in the last video, we touched on it very briefly, is there's franchises that just won't let characters die, especially villains.
Yeah.
And the superhero genre is super guilty of this. So I wanted to bring this to the table. Like, what's the most egregious this at the moment? The franchises that just won't let characters die.
When you said that, I immediately thought of horror films.
Sure, yeah, the
Yes,
villain you mean.
because the
Yeah.
villain never ever dies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or obviously they come up with bizarre reasons, like the Friday the 13th. The number of times that
Oh, yeah.
Jason has been like hit by lightning in his. I think there was one of them where somebody,
it was,
one
yeah.
of the previous characters from the previous one had dug up his coffin to make sure he was dead. And like stuck an iron spike through him, and then he got hit by lightning, which brought him back from the dead.
Oh, dear.
It's kind
Horror
of
films are the number one
Yeah.
example of this, and I think that's part of the reason why I don't particularly like horror films that much. Is because at the end of the day, something like really dramatic would happen, and you'd be like, "Oh my god!" And then like either in the same film or in the inevitable sequel,
It's weird.
Yeah.
'cause
they would come back and you'd be like,
it's
"Well,
weird
that kind
'cause
of
I-
undermines everything that happened
Yeah.
in the first film."
It's weird
Yeah.
because I think it used to be scary. Like, say at the end of the blob, it goes the end ? They freeze
Yeah.
it, and maybe it'll never escape. You don't know. So there's kind of that, in that the end ? Kind of way. But now it's just kind of like, well, we've got to make another one.
Yeah.
Have you really got to make another one?
Yeah, well, and a kind of an interesting one was the Halloween series, because that kind of had the similar thing where Michael Myers was, he survived being like shot multiple times and all this kind of thing just in the first film,
Yeah.
which happened almost over like one day. I seem to think.
Yeah. I think it was just like
It's
one
very
night.
small, very
time.
short time period, and then it was either the second one or the third one they called Season of the Witch, which was a completely different story that didn't have Michael Myers in it at all. And everybody complained that Michael Myers wasn't in it. I think it was the third one.
I think I've actually seen the first three. So I think it is the third.
Yeah,
one.
because I think the second one happens on like the next day, so like November the 1st, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it happens the next day, and they kind of still are going after Michael Myers. But the third one didn't have him in at all. And the original idea for the film series was it was going to be a different film each time, completely different story.
Yeah.
Because Halloween doesn't mean a serial killer; it just means kind of some kind of scary, spooky things happening. So they were going to do a whole series of films with
that'd be
different
quite good.
stories that were completely
Like
but
an
only-
anthology thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
makes sense.
then they kind of like be very vaguely connected. So I think in the third one they had like a news
Wasn't it
report or
in
something
the
else.
asylum that he escaped from?
Yeah,
Like, because the connecting character was Donald Pleasance's character.
Dr.
I think he was
Loomis,
going to
yeah.
be, the doctor.
yeah. But then the problem was that everybody complained about it that Michael Myers wasn't in it, so that's why they brought him back for the fourth and fifth and millionth ones.
There's been 11 films apparently of Halloween.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
tricky one because he is just a bloke.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
they've added some supernatural elements to some of the films, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
But
it's
he
like
is-
part of a cult kind
Yeah.
of thing that turned up and stuff
He
like
is
that.
still kind of just a bloke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and at the end of the day,
keep
can just
coming
like
back again.
can't survive anything. Like
again.
Jason's at least a zombie of some sort,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and Freddy Krueger's some sort of nightmare monster.
Yeah, well, that's the
Krueger
thing,
he can
yeah.
get away with because he's kind of
He lives in
he
dreams,
lives
that's
in
the kind
dreams,
of point
so
of it, yeah.
he kind of like he's not.
He can be
technically
defeated but
alive.
not killed.
Yeah, exactly.
And well, he was killed in the beginning of the first one. That's why
Well,
he
yeah,
came
yeah.
back. Because that's why he's kind of got all the burnt
Yes.
skin because he was burnt. And he
Burnt.
died at the start of the first film. So,
Yeah, totally.
yeah. But I thought you had an interest when you said James Bond.
James Bond. That's what. Yeah, just before we started recording, I think it's one of those things with Bond where obviously they're not gonna kill off James Bond. It's not a thing. You know, when you're watching something, you're watching a franchise, you know that there's no way that anything that Bond gets into, you're like, oh, he might die. He's not gonna die.
Yeah.
It's Bond. Do you know what I mean? It kind of, for me, it takes the danger out of watching it. Though I get for other people, it's fun to watch him sort of get out of all the various scrapes.
It
and
does,
that's
yeah. It
why
depends
people
how
like
the
Bond
films do it. Like some films work
Some-
and some ones don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like there's no point continually putting him in peril because he's going to get out of it.
Exactly.
Whereas if you put a problem in front of him that he has to figure out how to solve, or the world's going to end, or whatever,
Exactly, yeah.
then that's more.
Yeah, that's a
tension
much
that way.
better.
And there
use
are
of
other
Bond.
characters around it that could die as well.
Yeah.
Because there was one where he actually got married to
Oh, and and she,
quite an early one,
yeah.
and she was killed by Blofeld in like a drive-by shooting right at the end. It was kind of
Yeah.
like, oh god, that was quite.
Yeah.
I remember that happening in.
And every now and then they'd reference that in later films. and you're
Yeah.
like, oh.
Well, and they did it again with what's her name, Vesper in Casino
Casino
Royale.
Royale,
was it?
yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Because she died at the end of that, didn't she?
Mm-hmm.
And then that would kind of
Yeah.
was mentioned in other films. But there was an interesting theory about that goes around about James Bond in that it actually isn't a person.
Oh,
It's
yes.
a code
it's
name,
alias.
so
Yes, yeah.
it's kind of like it's the code name that's given to the top agent in MI6, which is why it's been able to go on for 60 years or whatever it is since what, Doctor No, was that the first one?
Yeah, Doctor Knows.
Yeah.
Well, the first one in the franchise.
But yeah, it's interesting. The one thing that we mentioned it, I think last episode that we did of this as well, in terms of like not letting a character die. I keep coming back to Captain Jack in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, that's
Because
a
at
pretty
the end
annoying
of the
one.
day, they know
Barbossa as
how
well comes
and
back
Barbossa,
for no reason at all.
Yeah, just because he's a popular character.
Yeah.
I found something out interesting about Barbossa, which kind of made me laugh. The fact that they didn't tell any of the actors, apparently, that Barbossa was going to be coming back, and they all thought that it was going to be another character walking down the stairs at the end of the second film. So they just call all of their reactions to Jeffrey Rush just walking down, and then them just kind of going, wait. What?
I heard that Jeffrey Rush was absolutely full of ideas for his character and how he could behave and do all this kind of thing, and the director was just kind of like, I don't really care, it's not that important.
It's like,
and
calm
he's kind of bring
down.
up, wow, why he could have like this, this accent like this, and he could do it, and goes, yeah, sure, whatever.
But the problem with things like that, particularly in the Pirates franchise, or I guess any franchise, is if you just keep regurgitating characters because they're popular, it starts to make the franchise just look like fan fiction.
Yeah,
Like, we want to write more for this guy because the people like him, but we don't have anything to actually say. A good example, a bad example, is the show that turned itself inside out is Heroes. Did you watch Heroes?
Oh,
when it was out?
No, I
God,
didn't really.
yes.
Heroes,
Save the cheerleader, save the world.
yeah, it just has. Heroes is a bizarre show. It had such a good season one.
Oh, it did, yeah.
So good, and then the ending was a bit lame of season one, but the season one is some of the best television ever made, up until like the final episode.
Yeah.
And then it just shits itself inside out.
Yeah,
And season two is an atrocious mess that
It's
was made during the
bad.
writers' strike.
Right, yeah.
And then season 3 is even worse and worse and worse. But one of the characters in that has a healing factor,
Yes.
the cheerleader.
Right.
And the villain of the is can like open up people's brains. We never really find out. I didn't watch much of the later seasons.
Yeah.
But he basically can dissect people's brains, and he can then absorb their powers effectively
Right,
through
okay.
their brains. So the reason it's Save the Cheerleader, Save the World is because they stop him from doing that to her. He won't have a healing factor, and then he can be defeated at the end. There's time travel involved in this.
Okay.
So one of the characters travels back in time to say, if you stop him from stealing the cheerleader's healing power, we can defeat him when he's the end boss at the end of the series. Basically.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's really clever, and it kind of all pulls together, and then the end fight being really lame
Kind
and
of lame,
weird.
yeah.
And basically he shows up and then they just stab him, and you're like, okay, that was it. even though he's got like 50
Bye.
powers at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anticlimactic.
But yeah, the thing about that is that the cheerleader's healing factor gets exponentially powerful in the later seasons. And then they find that they can take her blood and give it to other people. So they literally take her blood and bring characters back from the dead who had died in previous episodes and even in previous series. And it reaches that point where, well, death is no longer a problem.
Yeah.
And therefore, who gives a shit about anything that happens in this world?
Didn't they have the similar thing in one of the new Star Trek movies?
Yeah, the new
second
franchise.
one was
yeah,
it?
In
yeah.
the second one,
They-
with
basically
the blood of tribbles or something.
Yeah,
The
it
blood
basically
that was-
cured death.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was stupid.
Other than Heroes, though, the example that brought to my mind that made me think of this topic is The Flash, which you also haven't seen, Matt. The Flash show.
Not that Flash.
The Flash has gone another way with this. It's not so much that they don't want the character to die; they just don't want the actor to have died.
Okay.
So Flash season 1 has one of the again, it's fantastic. Season 1, the whole of season 1, all the way
yeah.
right up until the end. It doesn't do
Yeah.
a Heroes thing. It
Oh,
actually has a
it's-
fantastic finale.
Yeah,
Right.
It's
really,
just brilliant.
really,
I'm gonna
really.
just buy it for you on DVD at some point, just because you really need to see it.
Yeah, you do. It's great.
It's really,
Really-
good, and it's got a fantastic villain.
Yeah.
Who's a hidden villain, but the audience learns that he's the villain much earlier on.
Then,
So
yeah, but
maybe
yeah.
6 or so
Yeah.
episodes in, you learn who the villain is, and then it's
So
him.
he's an ironic villain.
Yeah, but then it's him versus the characters, and sometimes you want him to win, sometimes you want the villain,
Right,
the
okay.
heroes to overshadow him. Basically, this character just kind of is what makes the show so great. And at the end, they defeat him, he dies, but
Yeah.
they then it's really hard to explain. It turns out that he was the villain. How do I explain this? The villain in season 1 of The Flash is the Reverse Flash,
Yeah.
but he's disguised as one of the other characters.
Right.
So he's largely being played by this other actor.
Oh, right, yeah.
So in season 2, he comes back as the Reverse Flash, but being played by the actor who is playing the Reverse Flash,
Yeah.
who is then defeated again, very quickly kind of gotten out of the way, but then he keeps coming back, but he keeps disguising himself as this other character, even though there's no reason for him to do that, or any reason why they would be fooled by that. They're definitely not fooled by that, because that
Yeah.
other character is actually in the world somewhere else. But basically, what they're doing is they don't want to let that actor go.
Yeah.
'cause
So
he's
they're bringing
great.
back him. They're bringing back the Reverse Flash disguise so that they can have played as that actor, even though it makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
And
within
he's
the
like a
story.
different character every season or something.
Well, no.
It's
After
confusing.
this, after the Reverse Flash, they go into the multiverse
Yes.
and they draw out that actor from one of the multiverse, who's a different character.
Yeah.
Well,
He
he's
was
the
a
same-
hat at one point.
he's-
You're like,
yeah.
oh, he's different now.
And it's just so weird. The Flash became this weird. What's the actor's name? It became this weird series of excuses to crowbar back in that actor.
Yeah. It does.
He is
yeah.
great.
He
He's
is.
fantastic
He's a
in the
great
part.
actor. Yeah. he is.
Tom Kavanagh. He's fantastic in the role, don't get me wrong, and he's great in the show. But it's super weird that they keep bringing him back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of when you kind of see the artifice of
Yeah.
things in that's when you get the problem. You're jumping through too many hoops to make any kind of
Yeah.
good story.
Yeah, it's making all the wrong decisions.
Yeah.
And it's just so then the Flash just became kind of a mess. We stopped watching it, didn't we? I
Yeah,
think
we
did
did,
we even
yeah.
finish season 2?
Yeah.
Maybe we finished season 2 but didn't stop to season 3. Yeah, it's just
I
a
got
shame.
all the way to the musical episode and then stopped, which I think was season 3.
Cool, but thanks for watching. As I say, this has been a sister show to the Deleted Scene podcast. Find that on iTunes and everything else. And please subscribe to our channel here, Flitter Films. We're here. If you like this video, give us a like. Let us know in the comments below what your thoughts are on this. What your most annoying character that you just won't die. What character do you wish would just die in a film and just refuses to? Cool. Well, thanks for watching. Bye.